Okay, well, let's get started. Good morning to everyone, and thank you for joining us today. I'm Kim May from the Fillmore Group, and today's seminar is titled IBM Big Data Announcements, What You Should Know. I'm being joined today by Warren Heising from IBM. We're delivering this session as part of the Mid-Atlantic Information Management Virtual Users Group, and this session is being recorded. The presentation files will be available on the Fillmore Group's blog tomorrow. And I think we're ready to get going. If you have any challenges or problems hearing me or seeing my screen, please use the chat function, chat me a message, and I will get back to you and we'll see if we can help you out. During April, IBM announced several significant solution enhancements related to data management and big data. These are not new product announcements, but announcements about improved features and functionality for IBM's data management solutions. We feel that these enhancements reflect IBM's commitment to maintaining the technical lead in the database technology market. And so what Warren is going to do is he's going to take us through some of the announcements and give us some context around each so that everyone can understand how these solutions may be better applied in your particular organization. The goal today is to help everyone better understand the announcements and what they mean to you. And now I'm going to try to make my slides move. All right. Okay, let me go through the agenda quickly. What I'd like to do is introduce the Mid-Atlantic Virtual Users Group, introduce Warren. Then we're going to go through, Warren's going to go through the big picture, the big data and analytics overview and what IBM is doing to pull all these different pieces together. He will then go through the big data announcements, what each specific one is. I'm going to do a couple slides on IBM's announcement of their IULA, all-you-can-eat new licensing announcement, which is designed to compete better with Oracle. And then we'll go through some next steps. Takeaways for everyone that's on today. I hope everyone at least finds one new feature that's going to help your organization improve. I think we're going to give you an awful lot of information. The IBM announcements were very broad, but they're all about specific technical improvements to the products that currently exist. So I'm hoping that everyone on the call is either interested in an IBM product or is using a current IBM solution and that they can figure out how these improvements are going to help them. I also want to make sure everyone has some information about where to go for help. We are doing this as part of the Mid-Atlantic Virtual Users Group, which is a group that I've been trying to put together and get off the ground, which is basically to help people in the Mid-Atlantic region, because that's where I am, that's where Warren is, get to know more about IBM information management solutions. I work for the Fillmore Group. We're a premier IBM business partner. We've been around for over 25 years. We specialize in information management. This is the stuff that interests us and excites us. And if there are any questions or any solutions in particular that we can help you with, we provide IBM authorized training. We resell all the products in the information management portfolio. And we also have a consulting team that's ready to help. And Warren, I'm going to let you introduce yourself.
Okay, great. Thank you very much, Kim. I'm a CTP for the Mid-Atlantic. I basically work from the area that Pennsylvania down to South Carolina, handling the IM products and the large products. My background was actually at Informix for 10 years prior to IBM, and prior to Informix I was with Lotus Development. What we do and what we try to do for the Mid-Atlantic is to promote different types of either webinars or POTs or anything that we can do to help you as end users understand the products and be able to take those products and implement them in for either cost savings or for performance or whatever your needs are within the Mid-Atlantic. We work with partners, and we're very happy that we're working with the Fillmore Group. We've worked with them for many years in the Mid-Atlantic, and they're just a great partner to work with, and they provide a lot of value add to the IBM products. So, having said that.
Okay, we'll go to the next slide, and I apologize. My slides were running right through on their own, but we've stopped that.
Okay. And actually, I think this is a great capability of being able to do these users groups in a virtual environment. So let me go ahead.
I tend to agree when it works.
Well, we always have a little kinks in working stuff out, but I think it's a fantastic idea. Let me go ahead and start out first with a general overview of what is out there and what we're calling big data. Big data is a buzzword. It's been around for a while, and it is really transforming the landscape in a lot of different fashions. This is just a few of the different areas, whether it's cloud computing, social media, machine information, mobile computing, of where we're capturing data and how it's changing the computing environment. Let me give you some examples. Basically, we all know we have either an Android or we have a smartphone. The technology in a smartphone right now, in an iPhone, is equivalent to all of the technology that was used in 1969, computing technology for NASA. It's amazing. We're now talking about plans. We're not talking about megabytes. We're talking about gigabytes of data, per phone consumption per month. Let's look at some other statistics, which is pretty amazing. I was going through the internet to find some of this stuff. Let's take Twitter, that has been around only since really about 5-6 years, since 2005. In 2005, to reach the number of 1 billion tweets, it took them 2.5 years. Okay, currently in 2013, it takes approximately 2.5 days to do 1 billion tweets. It's 400 million tweets per day is occurring. And that's just Twitter, let alone all the other social medias that is out there. Where data is coming into the landscape that comes from internet and of many other different tools on the internet, at machine speeds, whether it's, for example, RFID chips. RFID chips, a few years ago, there was maybe 1.5 billion. Now there's 30 billion RFID chips out there. We use them at IBM in different conferences. They're in your name tags. We can track whatever conference you go to, and we can give you feedback on that. So it's amazing what's out there. Another aspect of how much technology is out there is the Airbus, the new Airbus. I guess it's the A380. Each engine on an Airbus produces, now it's sensor data, and it's a lot of data and a lot of samplings per second, but it produces 10 terabytes of data per engine every half hour. So that means on a flight between New York and London, it produces about 340 terabytes of data. So next slide, please, Kim.
Sure.
So obviously, what do you do? I mean, it's just a ton of data. Big data is all the data. It's coming at us from all different approaches. And it's not just traditional, but it's machine. It's coming from the internet. It's coming from social. It's coming from mobile environments. And we have to evolve. We have to evolve to be able to capture the data, and we have to, on top of that, be able to evolve to analyze that data into a format that makes sense to us. We just can't be hauling, 340 terabytes for one flight is not some type of data that we can manage. We have to be able to have some type of tools to capture that data and stream it down to something that we can ingest. So
and Warren, I think one thing to mention with this as well is that IBM has been working really hard to make sure that the definition of big data as they perceive it is communicated out to information management customers, because a lot of people have different opinions of what big data means. And I think one of the things that's sort of unique about IBM right now is that IBM is saying, for this big data, there's this solution, and for that, there's the next.
That's very true. And that's actually, a lot of companies are using the terminology big data as a hype. IBM has been involved in big data for many years. One of the slides further on, we've been purchasing companies and technologies since 2005 to build our big data solutions. So big data is, you are correct, different information from different organizations and different environments that mean different things to different people, and therefore they have to be different solutions that we can put together for them. It's kind of a bit of an a la carte to fit their needs, and it has to be integrated. And we have a slide a little further that talks about that too. But that is a good point. That's what IBM is able to do, because it's big data is different from different people, therefore the solution is different for different people, but it's got to be integrated, and that's what we have as a solution. This is just kind of an example of, where can big data help? Big data can help once you analyze it properly in many, many different forms. The healthcare industry is losing $250, $300 billion a year, which comes out to 650 in the U.S. alone, which actually, if you do that, it comes out to about $700 plus a year is lost for every man, woman, and child is lost in fraud on insurance. And unfortunately, a lot of people don't even have insurance in the U.S. It's a phenomenal amount of data. Excuse me, phenomenal amount of money that is lost. Having big data can help in the financial environment to analyze and predict actions and view what is occurring, so we can stop things such as losses of billions of dollars by rogue traders or rogue corporations out there. There's also, once again, as you mentioned, Kim, it means different things to different people. In a Walmart type of environment or in a Sears or something similar, it could mean loss in sales because they don't know or they don't have a complete picture of the customer's background and what the customer needs. If we're able to capture all of that data, analyze it, and produce a 360 view of a customer, we're much better in tune to have the proper products in time for that customer. And then we look at the last one. Telco is a phenomenal industry. It's got 5 billion subscribers, and we see it all the time. We've got the new iPhone, we've got the new Android, we've got the different apps out there. Big data for them is being able to analyze that data to reduce churn, to reduce turnover, to be able to package and understand what people are using to have the proper applications and apps and packages for that person available. So it really means different things to different companies, but in all cases, big data is solutions to just about every environment, has a solution for about every environment. Could you go to the next slide? Okay. Thank you. There we go. So this is really the point. It has gone, it's moved, for IBM, it's moved beyond the hype. It is no longer hype. And IBM is the only company out there, because of the investment, that has not only the solutions, the hardware environments, it has the platforms, it has the enhancements to the operating systems, it has the databases, it has all of the tools to analyze that data, but it also has the experience out there, and in top, it also has the partnerships with people like the Fillmore Group to be able to provide these solutions. Okay, and given that, on April 30th, we had some announcements that I'm going to talk about in big data now. This is an interesting slide, and this is kind of a way to picture it, because what is big data? In a certain way, big data is somewhat similar to oil. Okay, in its natural state, such as oil, it has no real use unless you can take it and refine it. Once you refine it, you generate things from anywhere from airplane, high octane fuel, to gasoline, to kerosene, to diesel, all the way down to the tar that's used to creating asphalt for roads. The interesting difference, though, is that this is, unlike oil, this is self-generating. And big data is not the problem that we're running out of, but it's something that we're drowning in unless we're able to manage it. Next one, Kim. The interesting part about this, too, is that the big data is all data, but it's also in all paradigms. This is just four major areas, but certainly not inclusive nor comprehensive, but just some of the major ones. If we look at big data, what does it mean in the transactional and application type environment? This is more of our traditional environment. We have to deal with a lot of volume. It's structured data, and we have to deal with throughput. So how do we handle the throughput of the billions and billions of transactions going through? On another level, it's machine data. So to a scientist or to maybe people at Airbus or Boeing, this is data that we're capturing from sensors. It's a different type of data. So at this point, we're dealing with velocity of the data flying by. It is mostly, in most cases, structured because it's some type of data from a sensor. It's repetitive. But our challenge there is to basically ingest that data. We're not going to store the 340 terabytes from that flight. But what we have to do is be able to ingest it so it makes sense. On another level, let's say social data, and I gave you the example of Twitter. Of course, that's just one of many, many different types of social media out there. So we have a variety of the data, and it isn't structured, and we have a veracity that we have to deal with. So we have to skim through it and find out what is the information that we need. Some people are doing that, but the problem is it's what is occurring right now in some cases that it's behind the curve. I'll give you an example. I was out buying tires for my wife. I was on the internet. I Googled for some sales. Well, approximately 2 weeks later, I'm getting emails. Somebody actually scraped that, and so 2 weeks later, I get emails for tire sales. Well, that's great, but it's way behind the time. I've already purchased. I'm gone. I need to be able to get the scrape that data and get the information I need in real time to send that out. And of course, enterprise content. Content is all over the place. It's varied. It's very unstructured, and we have to handle the volume. So these are just some of the examples of what we have to do for different industries, all of which encompass big data, but each one is somewhat different. So next one, Kim. So it was kind of interesting. IBM decided last year to go out and say, and go to the major leaders, industry leaders, and say, okay, we've kind of described what big data is, but what does big data mean to you? What are you trying to do with big data? How can it help you? So from that survey, we kind of got several areas that are important to customers. The major one, by about 49 to 50% of the customers, said they want to deliver value. They want to deliver value to the customer, to the point of impact. And what that means, and do it in a very timely manner, not 2 weeks after I'm looking for a sale, but while I'm looking for a sale for tires, to be able to deliver that data so that the customer is happy, the customer gets the information, gets the sale information, gets the product information, gets whatever information they need done at a point where it can have a positive impact on it. So that's about 50%. The second one in line was people said there was about 20% of their answers was they wanted to affect operational systems. They wanted to use big data to improve their operational systems, such as detecting fraud, being able to predict fraud. It's when we look at something like that, speed is very important because there's no sense in closing the old barn door after the animals left. What you need to do is close it before. So we need to be able to not just detect that fraud happened, but be able to detect and predict it so we can shut it down. So, and also supporting smarter infrastructure and so on. So that was about 20%. And then a close second to that, about 18%, was creating new systems of engagement, new sales systems. How can I increase my mobile commerce? How can I better increase the efficiency of my call center and my social business? So it's three distinct areas, but all of these are helped and can be leveraged by big data.
And Warren, when you're talking to customers these days, when you're talking to people about big data, are they thinking this through? I mean, those are great statistics. I've never heard those before, and I think it's really interesting that it's now being broken down into these are the different solution areas instead of people saying, hey, we heard about big data, we want to do something.
You have a very good point, and that's where we try to work with customers to get to the core of what they want. We want to move away from just saying, hey, we have a big data solution and this works great. We like to sit down with customers and say, where are your pain points? What are you doing? What are we trying to assist and move forward with? How can we improve the marketing cycle for a telco and be able to further identify different products and applications for customers? And then we fit it back in. So it's really to try to identify where the solution would go and then backfit it with the platform.
And that makes so much sense. And that's more of a traditional IT approach. I think one of the things, because big data is so new and people are so excited about it, I think one of the, someone had told me about one of the federal agencies here locally that they said, oh yeah, well we've got this guy in our data center and he's installed Hadoop and he's playing with it. I said, well what are you doing with it? And they said, well, we have no idea. He's installing it to figure out how it works. Well, yay.
Well, that's it, and that's a very good point. But we can always just load hardware and software and play with it. But the real point is what we're trying to do is solve the problem, solve the pain point with the big data solutions.
Exactly. If there isn't any business value, there's no sense. Yep.
Exactly. Exactly. Here are just a couple examples that big data and different forms of big data have helped different organizations. SUNY, State University of New York, had a 99% reduction in time for analysis by using big data exploration. Okay. We look at another customer, Multiview. What they were able to do is help 1,100 of their partners to get a better understanding of their partners' customers by giving them a 360 view of the customer, their buying habits, their use habits, and so on. On the other end of the spectrum, we have fraud detection, analyzing 42 terabytes of data in a real-time environment to reduce, fraud and threat. Kind of one of my favorites because we both use this. Kim and I do. Constant Contact. Constant Contact is now a big IBM customer.
Absolutely.
Not only do they handle the mailings, but they also handle the information of who signed up, who registered, and they produce analysis on different types of information that we get back. So they were able to phenomenally increase their speed of analysis by utilizing big data solutions. So I'll go to the next one. And not to go through all of these, but just to hit a few. I won't bore you to death.
Are you sure?
Start next page. No. Just to give you ideas, it's really in just any line of business, there's something big data can offer. Whether we're banking, to optimize and cross-selling, whether it's insurance for fraud, telco for, smarter campaigns. Another quick example, utilities. This is one that's, I'm in the Maryland area, BG&E. They would send somebody out every 6 months to read the meter. And they would do projections on that, and the projections were really off because sometimes they would give us projected bills of $1,000 for the month of electricity. And that causes a lot of problems. So now they put in smart meters. About 4 months ago, they put in smart meters, and it reads it every 15 minutes. BG&E can better handle their electricity and have better efficiency on who and where to sell electricity. They can then give that information to us, where I know that after 8 o'clock at night, it's when I run the dishwasher. It's when I run, the clothing, the washing machine, because electricity costs less to me. It's cheaper for me to run it then. And that's when they're trying to sell more of their electricity. So it's a win-win situation. So no matter what environment that we have, it's certainly big data can assist in one way or the other. So can you go to the next slide?
Yes, but I do want to put one comment in here too.
Oh, sure.
We've worked with a banking customer, and I think it's something that pretty much everyone has a checking account, and it's interesting to see the banking customer that we've been working with historically let you view online the last 30 days of your checking account transactions up until probably 6 months ago. Then they made that 90 days. Now they're working on a project where they're going to let you view every transaction for the life of the account. And you just look at how that sort of has gone from a little step to a bigger step to an enormous leap, simply because the big data technology is available to support it.
That's a very good point. And then one other thing to just mention on that enables, and it's one of IBM's philosophy, is you don't have to implement everything right away. You can start with a smaller footprint and grow, and either grow it in size, as the bank did, more and more time available, or grow it in width, handling more applications. Okay. This is kind of an interesting slide here. This is the Big Data Platform, and Big Data Platform is actually part of the whole Big Data solution. So let's just talk a little bit about the Big Data Platform. This is really, it's really Gestaltian philosophy. The whole is greater than the sum of its parts. Once again, there are other people dealing with Hadoop. There are other people doing warehouse. But what does IBM and partners for IBM, like the Fillmore group, bring to the table? Well, in reality, to do a big data platform, it really takes, no matter what your big data solution is, it takes some type of integration between the different aspects of it, whether we're integrating the data, integrated with the accelerators integrated with the platforms themselves. That integration has to take place for you to develop a quick ROI and a quick time to market with the products. And that's what we bring to the value. Not only a depth and breadth of the products, but also a depth, but also an integration of all of those products. So they're very much, I don't want to say out of the box, but they're ready to go out of the box, and then you can tune them and integrate them for your particular application. And as I mentioned, you can start with a small project and then build it as your journey continues. Next slide. Okay, so here we see where big data is part of the whole solution of the broader big data and analytics strategy. So if we look at it as a whole, the IBM view of this as a whole is a complete. We're dealing with, where are you capturing the data from, whether security systems, storage, wherever, moving that data into the big data platform, whether you're handling it on content, whether you're handling it in large warehouses, a Hadoop type system, whether you're dealing with streaming data or data warehouses, then feed the analytical part of the whole BLU solution, whether we do risk analysis or performance management, which then in turn feeds your different industries, and within the industries themselves, the different solutions, which a finance in one industry is going to have a different solution than sales and marketing in the same industry. And then we work hand in hand with consulting and partners to implement these solutions. So really, if you look at it, where does it start? It starts almost it enables organizations to, it's almost the reverse of this, in my mind, reduce the infrastructure complexity and cost, and you're able to manage and govern that information. You're able to provide performance across, and then in turn you're able to do the analyze and predict that information, use that information, analyze and predict the information your customer needs. So it really provides the whole solution combined together for multiple different industries.
And isn't it, I think it's kind of fascinating on this slide particularly, if you look at this from a heritage of data management, we're all familiar with what content management is. I mean, that's been around for a long time, and we're all aware of what a data warehouse is. That's been around for a while. But the Hadoop doing the data in place and the stream data in motion, those are the two new things that drive everything else.
Yes, and it is that integration of some of existing and new technologies that bring the solution to play.
Okay, so now we're going to do a poll question. This is for everyone that's out there to give us some feedback. And basically what we want to know is which of these describes where your organization is in terms of looking at big data solutions. Oh, so we have lots of people that are saying that they're interested, and okay, so we're about split between people that are interested and people that haven't figured out what to do yet, and I think that's probably pretty typical. Is that typical with what you see, Warren?
I think so, yes.
And 6% of the respondents are being smart and are saying that they just got electric lights. I'm sorry, I'm going to question that. Okay, so here we are. So 56% are interested in exploring big data. So we have lots of people that are sort of where we are, even as technologists. We're all interested in finding out what this means to all of us. 17% have already implemented a big data solution. So way to go, early adopters. And 21% say they haven't figured out how big data is going to help them.
Well, in all cases, I mean, we certainly would like to assist however we can to all of those customers, because either we can help you get into the big data environment, or if you are in big data, we can help you manage that and have it a little bit more efficient, or maybe there are different tools out there that we can offer that can help you analyze the data better.
I do think that's really, it's fascinating to get the responses from people these days, because you don't know, everyone is just, we are all just learning. It's new to everyone.
Right.
Now I'm trying to move down to, there we go. Okay, so now we're going to move on to exactly what IBM announced and what these new enhancements are.
Great. Okay, so we basically have like about 3 areas of the announcements. The major one is, of course, DB2 with BLU Acceleration. And we'll dive into it a little bit further in another slide. But what does that really mean? It means 3 things. Much, much greater speed in 10, 20, 30-fold type of speed for reporting and analytics. It's also much more efficient, so you're able to have a much better storage and reduce your disk space. And there's a lot of, it's kind of the set and forget it, create, load, and go simplicity in loading the data and analyzing it. We're also going to talk a bit about PureData and what we have for PureData and how it's integrated with Hadoop now. And enables you to really explore and analyze data, but doing it with the simplicity of a pre-built appliance so that you're able to manage the data, back up the data, and analyze it very, very quickly. Okay. And we're also going to talk about the big data platforms. There's some enhancements out there that have occurred for BigInsights, for Streams, that enable us to handle more data in a larger environment. And also support for integration and governance. Okay, so next slide. Okay, so what is BLU Acceleration? Okay, it really is a phenomenal 8 to 25-fold faster reportings and analytics. Of course, your mileage will vary depending upon the data that you have, but those are the numbers that we're seeing across the board. We have seen some phenomenal 1,000-fold increases in the queries. It also, at the same time period, and we'll see why, because it's columnar data and so on the data itself, we're seeing 10-fold in storage space savings, okay, which is just great. Now, the nice thing about it, too, is that it maintains the data compressed while it's doing the analysis of the data, okay. Now, you're saying, is this new? This is not new technology. It was out in 10.5, and it's been around for a while in the Informix time series. It's just within DB2, it's actually built in the core, and there's a lot of different enhancements that greatly increase the speed. But by nature, the technology has been around for a while. It's just now being implemented very, very elegantly and efficiently. And also, it's going to be planned to be extended into other workloads and other products in the future. So next slide. So in comparison to our classic database design and tuning, you see the steps. What do you have to do? You got to decide, am I going to have partition strategies? If so, what are they going to be? How am I going to partition the data? How am I going to compress the data once I have it laid out? Then I go ahead and I create the table, and the table's laid out among the partitions. I do the load of the data that's round robin or distributed in range between the partitions. And then we look at other things to excuse me, speed up performance. Well,
yeah, we were at the I got to go to the announcement at the Almaden Lab, and one of the things, there was one of the customers that was out there speaking said that they were one of the beta customers, and they said that when you look at all these different steps that you go through when you're doing your database design, they actually tried to compare going through the design process and then just loading the data on DB2, and they said just loading the data works every bit as well.
Right, because you're loading it in this column of data, and you're able to create the table and load. You're also able to transform existing row tables into columnar data, which brings us to the next slide. There we go. Okay, so really, what is BLU, and what is it made up of? We could definitely go into another presentation for about an hour and a half or 2 hours just on this. But in the high level, what does it really bring? We've talked about some of the orders of magnitude and benefits that it brings, performance, storage. The other part is really time to value. I can get this up and running in a short time period. It means I realize my ROI much faster, and I can query a lot of data very, very quickly. The other two parts involved on it are, well, let's talk about what's new about it. Okay, it is built directly into the kernel. All right, columnar storage is not new, but the way we handle the vector processing and how we implement it is much, much more efficient. And because that it is columnar, we're able to compress. That's how we get the storage savings and how we get some of the performance, because the data in a columnar environment is all the similar data that you're looking at the same time. Okay. We have some unique memory management and also encoding for speed. But what's also very interesting is that we're now utilizing a very tight integration with the SIMD, or it's single instruction multiple data part of the CPU. This is something that's been in Intel processors, it's been in the Power processors, it's been multiple processors for quite a few years. Just within the database and data environment, nobody's really utilized it. It was utilized more for the graphics environment. At a high level, what does it really do? Well, it's, like I said, single instruction, multiple data. So where before, if we just had a single instruction that would scan a row of data to find that information that we're looking for, we now can take that same instruction and load multiple rows of data in there and have it scan it at the same time. So we're really utilizing some technology and utilizing it very efficiently to increase performance that hadn't been used before. Okay, and then the other part is, saying revolution or evolution. Well, it's kind of both. Columnar tables have been out there before, but what we're able to do now is we're able to have a coexistence of both classical rows and structured table and living with columnar data that's compressed. And we can run a query against any of those combination of rows or blue tables out there. So it becomes very, very elegant in the way of how the structure of DB2 has been built to utilize BLU Acceleration. So can we go to the next slide? So a couple other things in DB2, and we'll get on to some of the other aspects. We've talked about the speed. There are enhancements with PureScale, so we're always available. The transactions are online. I'm not going to get into PureScale right now, but what we're able to do is we're able to support over hundreds of nodes. We're able to go across multiple distances and support multiple nodes. So if any one node goes offline, it doesn't affect the application. We're able to do rolling upgrades and so on. The affordability is amazing because we can look at it two other ways. One of which is it costs me a lot less hardware and less CPUs to get the same performance, or for the same hardware I have right now, I can get a lot more performance out of it, so I don't have to invest in new hardware. We have a lot of compatibility with Oracle. Now we're up to about 98% compatible, and if you want to shift and lift an Oracle application over to DB2, you're only dealing with 1 to 2% of code changes to do that. So we're also, in that internal also really does a future proofing so that we have capabilities for both OLTP and data warehousing along with not only SQL built into it. So your investment now is future proofed.
So Warren, when you're working with current DB2 customers that are upgrading and that are looking at some of the new features and some of the new enhancements, if you have a traditional DB2 database and you start using the BLU Acceleration, obviously you're going to have, I guess the bottom line question is, we're all seeing data volumes increase so much, but some of these enhancements are helping people either offset or actually with compression, the database is actually getting smaller in spite of the fact that you're fitting more in it.
Yes, definitely. We're able to offer that it has a smaller footprint, which in turn saves you from purchasing new hardware, but to a certain extent it also saves you in licensing costs because you don't need as many CPUs to run the same thing.
Exactly, and that's how you sort of offset. So if you want to continue to gather or maintain or keep extended history or whatever it is you need to do, or hopefully grow your customer base, then you offset the cost with using a tool like this.
Exactly. To touch on, I know it's 11:40, so let me go through these. We've also done some enhancements. In particular, we've had new releases come out for BigInsights, for Streams, Identity Insight, and so on. Some big news for BigInsights with Hadoop is that we now support it with BigSQL, which is really SQL for the Hive, and we're able to access that information in the Hive. We also have PureScale for Hadoop, which is a high availability, and we also support GPFS, or the POSIX type environment. So instead of just utilizing the normal Hadoop interface, we're able to utilize Hadoop as if it was a NTFS or Unix file system and have all of those capabilities open to that. So it makes Hadoop much more versatile within our environment. In Streams, Streams is our tool for capturing data in motion and analyzing it in motion. We've done some enhancements so we can have larger deployments are simplified. Quite a bit of increased performance. Streams is always a product that scales very linear with adding more hardware, but we've increased the performance at each node level. There have been not only developer enhancements, but also integration enhancements in Streams. And then to touch on identity insight, we've also done with entity analytics. There's been a global scale for individual and organizational entity recognition. And Entity Insights is really the software that enables you to analyze data and find the relationships between different people, different organizations, and really handle the data at that level. So we go to the next slide. A couple other things that have been brought out for PureData. Now we have Hadoop for PureData, so that we can handle Hadoop in Pure systems. So that we've had them for analytics, we have them for operational analytics and transactions. Now it's for Hadoop. So we're able to really deal with big data and able to do the online archiving, and we handle it at the level of appliance simplicity that we have in an appliance. Next one. And of course, we don't leave out the Z environment. We've had for a while in the Z environment, of course, BigInsights with the Z Blade center, and we've also had the Netezza part for Analytics Accelerator for the Z environment. But what we're also bringing out is in the enhancements on the Z, enhanced Hadoop integration in DB211, including for SQL and not only SQL transactions. And for IMS, we're also including Hadoop integration with IMS 13. And let me go to the next slide. So kind of to bring it back together before handing it back to Kim here, what has IBM really brought forward and is announcing? It's dealing with a lot of advantages and enhancements that really are bringing to the customer the ability to do full analytics, to do your proper decision making, regardless of what the type of data or what the type of platform that you're doing it on, or what your application or what your line of business is. It really does brought the analytic adoption, without having to deal with silos of information or programming or rebuilding it. It analyzes the data wherever it lives. And it really does bring forward a lot of built-in analytics expertise as a solution. So the point is we're offering these big data solutions to wherever your data exists, no matter what type of data that you're dealing with. And then the last slide to IBM's commitment to this, and I mentioned before, we're not new. We're the leaders because we started back in 2005 identifying where big data is going and building for it. We spent more than $16 billion in acquisitions in multiple companies because we don't only acquire them, but when we acquire the solution, it becomes fully integrated with all IBM solutions. You're not buying components that are separate. You're buying components that blend together. We have over 9,000 consultants that are available to assist, and we have a huge number of partners that are out there, and some excellent partners like the Fillmore Group. And we have a large math department. I'm not quite sure what that means. But
you guys have a great math department.
Okay, so to your poll question. Go ahead, Kim.
Okay, we'll go to poll question number 2. Let's see what we have here. And polls. Where are we? All right. Okay. Which announcement that you've just heard about may have the most impact on your organization? Well, this is really interesting. Okay. Initially, it was just all DB2 people. So so the responses were 100% BLU Acceleration.
Interesting.
Okay, so now we're seeing some other responses. But that is really interesting that I know there are a lot of people on here that are definitely DB2 users, but I think it's some of the announcements around some of the other big data enhancements, until your organization understands how you're going to leverage big data, it's hard to get excited about the technology. And I think that's where the people that are doing the things like, yeah, we're installing Hadoop and seeing what it does, it's sort of a reverse of the way that technical solutions have been implemented in the past.
Right. It's a little bit of the cart before the horse.
Exactly. But I think it's natural, and it's the way that we've been conditioned.
Yes.
Okay, so where we are, 75% are most interested in BLU Acceleration, 8% BigInsights, and 17% interested in the appliances. And I have to say, having worked with some very large organizations, the appliance solution from an integration, particularly if you're in a large organization and you have a bunch of sub-organizations that have to work together on an integration project, the appliances are the solution to that. You don't have to manage by committee, you buy the box.
And that is so important when you're looking at getting a ROI in place as soon as possible.
Absolutely. Yep. Okay, so I'm going to very quickly go through the IULA announcement. This is a non-technical announcement. This is a packaging and a competition announcement that IBM made, but it's really important for anyone that's running Oracle in their shop, or that is a current Oracle customer that's considering taking a look at DB2 as an alternate. Hopefully everyone out there has seen this slide. I think IBM has, about 2 years ago, said we're going to directly compete with Oracle, and we're going to prove to anyone that's interested in listening to us that the total cost of ownership of DB2 is much less than the total cost of ownership of Oracle.
Kim?
So, yes?
Okay. I'm just seeing your original splash slide for the Fillmore group.
Oh, okay. Hang on a second. Let me see what we've got here.
If other people are seeing your slides, then just, there we go. There it is.
That's it? Okay. I didn't jump back from the poll. So this is the slide that I'm talking about, and this is the 3-year total cost of ownership, and IBM has worked very hard to develop a bunch of criteria and artifacts and questionnaires and different ways for customers that are interested to determine what the migration cost will be, how quickly they can get your application code over. Obviously, there's 98% compatibility with Oracle application code right now in DB2. And with PureScale, obviously, they can also do some things that compete very well against Oracle RAC. So what they decided to do this year, I'm trying to get my slide to go, is that because many Oracle customers have ULA license agreements that expire at the end of May, that's Oracle's fiscal year end, they wanted to come out with something with an agreement that would compete directly. So this is the apples to apples comparison cost offering that IBM has developed. And instead of doing apples to apples, they really want it to be red to blue, because this is they're including some things that they know are pain points for current Oracle customers. There are some hidden costs a lot of times with the Oracle ULAs. So what IBM is trying to do is be very open about what their IULA will offer customers that will consider doing a comparison. And that's basically the announcement. And what I would invite anyone who's on that has any Oracle licenses, particularly if they're scheduled to, you have an ULA that's scheduled to come due at the end of May. Let us take a look at what an IULA would look like in comparison. So now we're very quickly going to try to do poll question number 3, which is simply, how can we help you? No, that's very nice. Everyone wants to know about upcoming webinars, and lots of people are saying, great job, Warren. Warren, I have to tell you, the specific information in your presentation was just awesome.
Oh, well thank you very much. It's thank you for the opportunity to present to the group, and also, whatever we can do to get information to anybody, or if we can, work with you and the Fillmore group and put on webinars like this, we'd be more than happy to do. I know we kind of had the drinking from the fire hose at this point, but we'd be happy to do any deep dives on any of the subject matter you're interested in. For us, it's more important that you tell us what you want to hear about than for IBM telling you what it thinks you want to hear about.
Well, I think everyone is at the start of this journey, and I think, as I can remember probably 10 years ago learning about content management systems and hearing that whatever it is, 80% of data is unstructured. I mean, back then people were saying, you guys don't understand how big this was going to be. Well, that was before Twitter, and that was before Facebook. And, we've all now lived through the whole business of the Boston bombings and having them say, send us all your pictures and we're going to recreate exactly what happened, and being able to do that as quickly as they did. That was not something that was even possible 5 years ago.
Very true. Very true.
So really, really good stuff. And so does anyone have any questions? If you have any questions, I would certainly invite you to send me a chat in, and we'll answer them. I don't see.
Or you can write an email, and either Kim or I will respond to it too.
Yes, please feel free to contact us, and particularly for those of you in the Mid-Atlantic. Warren works with several customers in the Mid-Atlantic region, but he's part of a team. I work for the Fillmore Group, and I'm part of a team. We may not be able to help you ourselves, but we will certainly do our best to get you connected with someone who can help you. And I think since I'm not seeing any questions, I think we will go ahead and end the session. Warren, again, thank you very much. You did a terrific job.
Well, thank you all, and thank you very much, Kim, and I hope everybody will hear from you soon. Thanks.
Okay, thanks to everyone for attending. Take care.